that after watering started, the self-defense forces sprayed water from the ground. We could see where the water was going. And we could see the water was going in. However, today's operation, we are using a very special vehicle, and the water, the top tip of the water hose is at 22 meters from the ground. And it is aimed at the number 3 reactor building, pinpoint. So we cannot see where the water is going from the picture, and that's probably because they're using a different method than today. The Tokyo Fire Department is spraying water at the number 3 reactor of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power.
You're watching NHK World. Firefighters have resumed spraying water over the number 3 reactor at the quake-hit Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant to cool the troubled reactor. They say the operation on Saturday afternoon will continue for 7 hours. Workers of the Tokyo Fire Department stationed an unmanned vehicle in front of the plant that can spray seawater from a height of 22 meters. Officials say this system will prevent firefighters from encountering harmful radiation. They are trying to cool the storage pool for spent nuclear fuel rods to prevent it from leaking a large amount of radioactive substances. Earlier on Saturday, firefighters sprayed 60 tons of seawater into the building during a 20-minute operation. The Tokyo Fire Department has dispatched 44 fire engines and about 240 personnel to the site. The World Health Organization has said radiation levels outside the evacuation zone in Japan are not harmful for human health.
Outside the 30-kilometer radius, there have been very low levels of radiation measured. And we understand, of course, the concern of people living outside the 30-kilometer radius that they might be affected. But the evidence so far, the radiation levels measured, would say that there's little public health danger from the radiation there. So if you're living in Tokyo or Yokohama metropolitan area or further afield, there is little public health risk.
WHO spokesperson Gregory Hartl was speaking at a regular news conference in Geneva on Friday. He said the WHO finds no public health reason to avoid travel to Japan except to the affected areas or to recommend that foreign nationals leave the country. Some countries are encouraging their citizens to leave Japan or are moving their embassies from Tokyo to Osaka. Referring to examination of Japanese food imports by some countries, he said he cannot imagine that any food from the quake-damaged areas could have been delivered since the tremor. He said he concludes that there is no risk of exported Japanese food being contaminated with radiation. 1 week has passed since the magnitude 9 earthquake hit northeastern Japan. The number of dead has reached over 7,000, the worst ever death toll in a natural disaster in Japan since World War II. Nearly 20,000 are still missing. Japan's National Police Agency says 7,197 deaths have been confirmed and over 18,000 people remain unaccounted for. The death toll exceeds that of the Great Hanshin earthquake in 1995, which killed 6,434. More than 280,000 people are taking shelter, mainly in 3 prefectures in the Tohoku region, northeastern Japan. Many of the shelters are short of food, water, and other essential supplies. Relief efforts are being hampered by a shortage of fuel for trucks and ambulances. Evacuees in the shelters are facing chilly weather. Weather officials warn that high tides are likely to last for 1 week from Saturday. some ground levels in quake-hit areas have sunk, leaving coastal areas vulnerable to flooding. But officials say the threat from tides is not like that from a tsunami, as people will have time to act, given that sea levels will increase gradually. Up next, the world weather forecast. We leave you with the footage taken from Fukushima. Firefighters have resumed spraying water over the number 3 reactor at a quake-hit Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant to cool the troubled reactor. That's all for this edition of Newsline. We'll bring you more updates at the top of the hour.
Here's the news. At the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, the Tokyo Metropolitan Fire Department resumed the water spraying operation for number 3 reactor. They are using a super pump truck as well as a long-arm water cannon to spray water over number 3 reactor that is being troubled. And the watering is to continue for 7 hours. The water is aimed at from above into the reactor's spent fuel pool, where the temperature is rising. They have 300-meter-long hose to bring in seawater from a remote location from the reactor, and it is connected to a long-arm fire engine to launch water, discharge water from the height of 22 meters height. The Metropolitan Fire Department says that they have stationed all the vehicles necessary as well as the hosing, and they are sending in different groups of workers to take turns in carrying out this mission. And also, at one point, the equipments are left by themselves, and the operation will be continued without no one attending these machines. When 7 hours of spraying is finished, 60 tons of water will have been sprayed into the spent fuel pool. The government's special task force says they are going to bring in a new machine to spray water from a high point that was the same type used in the Chernobyl nuclear plant accident. And the vehicle is heading towards the Fukushima nuclear power plant right now. It is made in Germany, and it is usually used to pour in the raw concrete with a high pressure. And it is very good at spraying water to a specific point. The Nuclear Industry and Safety Agency says that the